It was Tony week to clean the kitchen, and I couldn't stand dishes in the sink. He said, "Mom, this was up. I got you when I get back." And he never came back. He never came back. And the dishes were still in the sink.
To see the man that you were married to for 35 years, to be reduced to what he was and what they did to him, it's beyond description what happened to him in protective custody in the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office because they contracted with G4S.
G4S is the largest private security company in the world. It's based in London, but it has a huge presence here in the US. More than 40,000 workers in this country guard almost any place you can think of. Neighborhoods, office buildings, hospitals, courthouses, banks. It's a lot cheaper for all those places to turn to private security rather than police. G4S charges more money for armed guards. They take their weapons home at night and they're supposed to keep them locked up, but they don't always do that. In our reporting, we found more than 600 cases where employees lost or stole company guns. Some left theirs in unlocked cars, others just walked off the job and kept it. We tracked where dozens wound up, including violent crimes. One was taken from an apartment in Florida when a guard left town for vacation. He had left it in a bag instead of a gun safe. That gun was used to murder Tony Black.
When Tony was born, he was ill. He had a heart condition, which called pulmonary stenosis. They put what they call a balloon in him, and they said he wasn't going to live past 4. Well, thank God, he lived to be 22. So Jesus was primary in his life. He'll know more about Jesus than he basically about his father. Just a little boy, he started singing, and then he became a lead singer. And from lead singing, I don't know how he got into rapping. He became rapping. I'm very strict about cleaning and church, and so it was no church. And Tony says, "Mom, you know, I'm gonna go with Pee Wee. You're supposed to be doing something tonight." I said, "That's fine with me. No, be in before midnight. That's my rule, midnight." And he went, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." I had a knock on the door, and I said, "Oh no, buddy, you're not coming in this time of night." And I said, "You know my rules. It's way after 12 midnight."
I could hear the knock because it was kind of loud, and my mom went to the door and opened it. They was talking to my mom, and from my point of view, I could tell they were officers because they told her. They said, "You might want to sit down." She sat down, and they basically told her that my brother Tony Black has been shot.
I looked at him and I looked at the other guy, the police officer at the time, I acknowledged, and he put his head down. I said, "I'm dreaming." In the Bible, it talks about a mustard seed. I just have that little bit of faith of the mustard seed. And I said, "You know what? Tony not dead. As a mother, I got faith to believe that God will answer prayer. I don't care what they say, he's not dead." So I remember somebody came over and they was gonna wash the dishes, and I was like, "Don't wash the dishes." Because Tony gonna come back and wash the dishes. Don't wash the dishes. After my family came down and they said, "We have to pray. We gotta pray right now." When they stopped praying, I looked at them and I said, "Tony's dead." Out of nowhere. I said, "Tony's dead." And they gave me a hug and I went back to my room. And that's where I stayed for days. For no reason to come out. Tony was dead.
One of the ways G4S gets its contracts is by saying its guards are highly trained and professional. They market officers who worked in police or served in the military, the best of the best. But that's not always the case. The pay for these jobs can be really low, sometimes less than $11 an hour. We found some people take these jobs after they've been fired from police work. We found one guard who resigned from a sheriff's department after his bosses started investigating him because he was taking a really long time to respond to calls and faking his paperwork. G4S hired him to drive a van in a neighboring county in 2013. His job was to transport people in police custody and take them to county jail. 2 months into the job, he picked up 2 guys. One of them had been arrested for starting a bar fight, and the other was Thomas Morrow.
We started dating in high school. We were high school sweethearts. Basically, we were almost inseparable from the minute that we started dating. You know, we dated all through college and then got married when I was 22, he was 24. After 15 years of being married, I got pregnant, so we had a little girl. And she was absolutely the shining light of both of our lives. He was a great dad.
Tom was just a loving brother. He loved life, he loved people, he loved laughing. Most of all, he loved his wife and his daughter, Jessica. Those were the two most important people in his entire life.
So my cousin was getting married and she lived in North Carolina, and we discussed it as a family. I wanted to go to the wedding for sure because she was my flower girl and we were close. And Tom decided he didn't want to go, and he had no cell phone for the whole time that we were gone. So because of that, I didn't really speak to him. I guess the first contact I received was from the detective who called my cell phone at 4 o'clock in the morning and left a message.
Sharon, this is Detective Capel with the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. Your husband, Thomas, was taken to jail by Treasure Island Police Department. And on the way to the county jail, there was another inmate in a vehicle in the back of the van that kicked Thomas in the face, in the ribs. He ended up being transported to Bayfront Hospital. He had some broken ribs, facial lacerations, and a ruptured spleen, which they had to take out. I'm going to try calling you back again. Again, he's at Bayfront Hospital in St. Pete.
I was due to fly home the next day. I called my friend and asked her to go to the hospital to check on Tom. And she did. And she called me back and she said, Sharon, it's really bad.
We went down to see him in the hospital, and it was beyond belief what we saw. Tom didn't even know who I was.
It was the most horrible thing I have ever seen in my entire life. I literally screamed and ran out of the room, crying, sobbing, hysterical. The last few days, he didn't really even open his eyes. There was no response at all. But I knew how much he liked music, and I went and got a CD player, and I played Frank Sinatra songs for him on the CD before he died. As best as I could garner from everything I was told, Tom had gone out on Saturday night. He was intoxicated and sleeping on a bench, and somebody called the Treasure Island police. And they came over and they took him into protective custody. So he was handcuffed and shackled and put in a van without any secure being held in position. He was intoxicated, he fell over, he landed on the floor, and this horrible person who was in the van with him proceeded to kick him and stomp him while he was on the floor. And the driver kept going the entire time.
I don't understand why a company would hire someone that's been released from the police department and put him in a van to carry people back and forth. If he's not reliable to be a police officer, how can he be reliable to protect anyone that gets in that van?
This municipality and probably hundreds of others across the country are contracting with this company to perform this function.
Tom's not going to be with us ever again. And her daughter is never going to see her father again. It's an unbelievable, horrible story that we're dealing with. And all unnecessary.
I lost my husband, the love of my life, my high school sweetheart. We were married for 35 years. I don't even think I should have to tell you what that means, okay? And then to see the man that you love beaten and reduced to what he was at the end of his life is something that no one should ever have to endure.
But if you have a security guard who's supposed to be trained with weapons, who has permission by those authorities above him to have a gun, it shoots several people, who's responsible? They still get by with it. And that's not fair. You're responsible for your action.
Michael Hogston is the Chief Compliance Officer at G4S. He told us the biggest issue they have is guards leaving the guns in their cars without locking them up. He said that if every employee followed the company's firearms policy, guns would not be lost like this.
0 losses is our policy. We're driving to 0 losses. Everything that we do is aiming at ensuring that our folks understand what to do, how to do it, and don't do things that are wrong. My goal is to get people to be more aware on a regular basis of the issues related to how important it is to follow these rules. And we need to find ways to make them more aware and help them understand. Because I have great confidence. I'm so upset when we have to fire people for these policy violations, because I know a lot of these employees are really great, long-term, long-standing good people that do a great job for us. Why they didn't follow the policy is the problem, and I want to find a way to end up in a place where people follow the policy and we don't lose good employees. It upsets me.
Justice would look like G4S being treated as the separate, private, multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation that they are, and not being given sovereign immunity and protected as if they were a government entity.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out these other videos from USA Today to stay up to date with all the latest news.